This is an interview with Ms. Mable Donna from the Birmingham Civil Rights Institute's Oral History Project. I'm Dr. Horace Huntley. We're at Miles College. Today is June 19, 1996. Thank you, Ms. Donna, for taking time out of your schedule to come and sit and talk with us today. Just want to start sort of a conversation. Talk just a bit about your background. Tell me, were your parents from Birmingham? Were they born and raised in Birmingham?
No, my parents were born in Opelika, Alabama, but they were raised in Birmingham.
Oh, they were born there, and then their parents moved here.
Right.
Okay.
Both sets.
Oh, I see. Okay. How much schooling did each of them have, your mother and your father?
I think my father went to about third grade,
Mm-hmm.
and my mother to about eighth.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What kind of work did he do?
He worked at steel mills all his life.
Is that right?
He retired from Connor Steel.
Oh, I see. And did your mother work outside of the home?
Yeah, she was a maid.
Okay.
Housekeeper.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Did you have any brothers and sisters?
No.
Oh, you were an only child?
Yes.
Did they spoil you?
Sort of.
Sort of. Yes. So you then been born here in Birmingham. Do you remember your first school?
Yes, I do.
What school did you attend first?
Patterson Elementary.
Yes. And what community was Patterson in?
In the Woodlawn community.
Woodlawn. Mm-hmm. What do you remember about Patterson Elementary?
Well, I remember the teacher, a couple of teachers in particular. One was named Miss Cody. She was very, very thorough. And even until now, I can remember the things that she taught us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Sound like you had some caring teachers.
We did, yeah. We had caring teachers, and teachers and parents never had any problems because we were disciplined.
Yes, yes. Because if something happened at school and word got back home, you would get double jeopardy sometimes.
Right,
yes.
right.
From Patterson School, where did you go?
Went to Parker High.
Parker High. So Patterson went from 1st to the 8th grade
yes.
at the time? Uh-huh. The Thundering Herd.
Yes.
And how did you get from Woodlawn to Parker?
We rode the special. We had a special bus that took us from Woodlawn to Parker.
So it was a public bus, a city bus?
Yes.
And it picked up students from the Woodlawn area?
East Lake, Brown Springs, Woodlawn, Avondale.
Okay. And it went directly to Parker. And did it also return home, bring you back home in the evening as well?
Yes, it did.
Mm-hmm.
We had a certain time to catch it. If we didn't catch it, then we'd have to catch the public bus.
Oh, I see. Did you have to pay for the special?
Sure.
Yeah.
About 10 cents, I think it was.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, that was a little bit better than what it costs today.
Right.
To ride. What do you remember about Parker?
Well, Parker was pretty short stay for me because I dropped out of high school at the 10th grade. Mm-hmm. But I do remember going there, and I remember, but in particular, my algebra class.
Okay, why your algebra class?
Because I was an A student in algebra, and later on, about 61, after my children got of age, I went back to school. And I remember it so vividly because when I went back to school, I didn't know any algebra.
You had lost all of it.
We did go to, I did go to one of, I wasn't a sports person, and I didn't go to ball games as such, but we did mingle with kids from Pratt City and all over. I made friends with kids from all over the city. Right. Because all of us had to go to the same high school.
That's right. Yeah, everybody was going to Parker at that time. That was in Birmingham. Did you participate in any extracurricular activities?
No, we had like home economics and stuff like that. And it was in the curriculum. All of that was all. You know, it wasn't extra. It was just something that you had to do.
Right, right.
Sewing.
Yes.
cooking.
Okay. So you were preparing to become a housewife. Okay.
Yes.
Well, how soon did that happen?
Very soon, sooner than it should have happened. Yes.
Yes.
And, I had my first child at 17.
What did you do after leaving Parker?
Well, I started raising family,
Okay.
and I have a son and a daughter that was born in 48 and 47, and then I got an adopted son that was born in 64. But just before I adopted this child, I went back to school out to Birmingham Bible College and got my high school diploma and a certificate in religious education.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's great. So you've been rather active then.
Yes.
An active person. When you finished high school and you started to raise a family, did you also work?
Not right away, but I did start work. Yes, I did. I was working because I finished school in 61, and I was working at Protective. I started right long in there because in 63, I think it was when Kennedy got killed.
Right, that's right.
I know I was working there because we were all in the office when it happened. And I can remember, our reaction in the office.
Yeah, what was the reaction in the office?
Oh, everybody just had hysterical men, and I can remember one young man, he just went into hystericals.
Is that right?
Yes.
What did he do?
Everyone, he just screamed and hollered and screamed. I had never seen a man take anything that hard, but he was really excited about it.
Yes.
All of us were sad, but he took it real hard.
He took it hardest. Protective
Industrial
life insurance company. Okay, so did you sell insurance?
Yes, I was a seller.
Okay. How did you get that job?
Well, Reverend Charles Billett, which was one of the civil rights giants, worked there, and he persuaded me, said my personality was of such that I could sell insurance. And I started as a builder. I didn't really write it. I just went out and got it. And I can remember it was exciting because at that time we were trying to get all of the black people to drop insurances other than ours. And I just went around in my community and sold goods of insurance. And some of the other agents were threatening to report me to the insurance commission. Yeah.
Right. But you did rather well in your community, and that was exciting.
Yes, and I got a lot of people to switch over, and a lot of people that really belong to Protective now is because I sold them insurance.
Yes, okay. Was that an effort that was done around the city to have people to change their insurance over? Are you speaking of changing insurance from white companies to the black companies? And that was a successful effort.
It was. In my community, it was. I worked a widespread community because I went to Warrior, and I went to Leeds, and I just went to different places just building debits for the other insurance agents would take the debits, but I'll, bill for them.
You mean you were building their business for them?
Building their debits.
Okay. And how did you profit from that?
Well, I was making...
You made the initial money.
Yes.
And then they made the money.
Ongoing.
Okay. All right. So it appeared that you did rather well then.
Yes, and I really enjoyed it.
Okay.
Really enjoyed it, and I guess that is what made me do so well, because I really, really liked it.
Why did you like it so well?
Because it gave me a chance to talk to people, and I like people.
Oh, okay. All right. You're so soft-spoken. So it almost appears that you're a shy person.
Oh, no.
So you enjoyed getting out mingling with the public?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. Tell me just a bit about what it was like growing up in Woodlawn, in Birmingham.
Well, to me, I hear a lot of people talk about segregation and how it affected, but segregation never affected me as such because I never, felt inferior toward white people. They just another person to me. Mm-hmm. And I always spoke my mind. Whatever I had to say to them, I said it. And all the people that I came in contact with on jobs or so forth, after I grew up to be able to work a little, I was always able to just stand flat-footed, look at me in the eye and tell me, no, I'm not doing this, or I will do that, or whatever. And I had a good life. I had a happy life. We were poor. We didn't have a lot, but we were happy. We had a lot of things. We didn't have a lot of things like the kids today, radio, TVs have, but we made things up and we played and we were happy kids, even though we were poor.
Right.
Yes.
Did you, I'm sure you had the opportunity to ride the bus other than the special, where the board existed and
yes.
all. Did you ever have any encounters on the bus?
Not before the civil rights. I didn't.
Yeah.
I remember one after they removed the board, I rode a bus, and this guy was so arrogant. He was so mean. The guy was driving the bus. Well, I was the one that sat right on the. When I get on, I sat right at him, but they never said anything to the women, but they would treat the men so terrible. And I remember that day I was on the bus, and he was talking to this one man that sat kind of one side. I was on one side, and he was on the other side, and he was cursing at him and going on. And I was just sitting there waiting on him to do something because I was going to just jump all over him. But he must have felt it because he looked around and he saw all us. I guess we were all sitting there tense and ready, and he went on to town with us. But he did it.
Why do you think that they talked that way to black men rather than to black women?
I don't know. I guess I don't have the slightest idea. I never had an idea what the mentality of white people were.
But you felt that it was different.
Yes, it was different, They didn't bother women that much. But if a black man would be out, they would bother them, but they never bothered us.
When did you get involved in the movement?
Well, my pastor, was Reverend Edward Gardner, and he was the second man to Reverend Mark Shuttlesworth.
Right, Vice President of the Alabama Christian Movement.
Right. And our church was involved.
Oh, okay.
Because he was involved, and most of us went to the movement.
Yeah. What was your first involvement? Do you remember the first night that you went to a meeting?
To a mass meeting?
Yes.
Not particularly. I went to so many.
Yeah.
Yes, I remember it was at St. James Baptist Church, the first one that I went to.
Right. Well, what was the mass meeting like? Can you describe?
Exciting, very exciting, and just looked like it was something in the air that everybody caught, and when everybody came together, we were all on one accord. We were all in the same mood, and it just made it really, really exciting.
What would get everyone into that mood?
Singing and speeches, and of course we knew that I think we were ready to fight for our rights. I think we were just ready. That was just the right time.
So you attended the mass meetings quite often?
Right, every Monday night.
What was that like, preparing every Monday night to go to the mass meeting?
Well, we just knew mass meetings were going to be Monday night, and we knew where it was going to be, and we made preparations to get there.
So you didn't plan anything else on Monday night?
Didn't plan nothing on Monday night.
This was already pre-scheduled.
Right.
And did you know Reverend Shuttlesworth?
No, not before the movement.
Yeah. But after the movement, did you get to know him as a person?
Not personally.
But you were around him.
Yes.
What kind of activities did you participate in?
Well, I marched like with signs in downtown area. And of course, when we get in a mass meeting, if we were going to a certain place the next day or whenever it was scheduled, those that was going to do it would come up and volunteer. And that's the way I got involved, to go to jail. That night they were going to go to the bus station, and I volunteered to go along with a lot of others. And we would stay a while, and they would tell us what we had to do. And
you mean stay after the meeting?
After the meeting, and they would tell us where to meet, and what time, and how to act.
Why did you decide to volunteer that night to go to jail the next day?
Well, this was just my time. I had volunteered in science and stuff like that, but
you had always volunteered to demonstrate.
But
this
time was going to. We knew we were going to jail.
You did plan to go to jail.
Yes, we knew we was going to jail.
What were the circumstances of your being arrested? Tell me, how did that happen?
Well, we didn't get to do too much because they was already waiting on us. They knew we were coming.
So did you come from 16th Street?
We came from 16th Street Church.
And what did you do?
We come up and we came in cars and they let us out. And we all spilled out of the cars. And
where did you go?
We were on our way into the bus station, but we never got in the bus station.
The Trailway bus station?
Yes, the Trailway bus station on 19th Street and 4th Avenue. 4th Avenue North, yes.
So you were preparing to go into the bus station, and then what happened?
Right, and a patrol wagon was there. And they just grabbed us and started putting us in there. We were singing loud, and they were cursing. Bull Connor was over there on the wall, and he was calling us all kinds of niggers. We all stay in our place and all that kind of stuff. And we just regular singing, and we let nobody turn me around. And they was pushing us on up in that paddy wagon. We sang all the way to jail. We sang when we got to jail. We sang. It was really an exciting time because when we got to jail, nobody was sad. We just sang and sang, and the only other time that anything was more exciting than being in jail was when I went to the March on Washington. That was exciting, but being in jail that night was something about that night because we sang and all the kids and everybody just got happy. People were shouting and people were, I don't know, they thought we was crazy, I guess. Yeah, but we had a real good time that night. And I stayed in jail about 3 days. And of course, my pastor was the man that would get us bonded. And you could look out the jail when they come in out the window, and I saw him, and I told him I wanted to get out.
Is that right? Now,
but it was about time for us to get out anyway.
Was your husband involved?
No.
He had to make sure that he brought the money home, right?
Yes, he was working. Of course, he wasn't working at night, but he never did participate.
What did he think about your participation?
No, he never cared about me participating, but he was kind of young, kind of out in the streets right at that time, wild. And he didn't really participate in the civil rights at all.
What about your children?
The children didn't either. My children didn't. I was out there for them.
Did they want to participate?
I can't remember them wanting to participate. I can't remember them ever saying that they wanted to. I don't remember.
Now, you spent 3 days in jail. You said the first night was, it was real exciting. What about the second and third nights?
Well, as the time go on, the less exciting get being in jail. And of course, we kept up our spirit. We weren't sad, but it kind of quieted down, you know. Then we were soon getting out, because all of us got out at the same time.
So did Reverend Gardner come
He
to
came to bail us out.
Okay. And then after you left the jail, did you go home, or was there a meeting that was being held?
We went home, but we came back to the meeting Monday night.
Oh, okay. All right. Did you remain active in the movement?
Yes.
Did you ever demonstrate anymore?
Yes, we needed to. I was demonstrating. I didn't get no water, or no horse, or no dogs, or nothing, but I was in the crowd. Yes, I wasn't that close up, but I was in the crowd.
Did you ever sit in any of the restaurants?
No, I didn't.
Okay. So you basically would march from one place to another.
Make up the crowd.
Can you just tell someone who never experienced a demonstration, what was a demonstration like? Going down and marching with this masses of people. What was that like? What was happening within?
Well, to me, it was an act of freedom. As I said, I wasn't too much oppressed, but my children was on my mind, and I was ready to die for their freedom, that they would have more freedom than I had. Not so much as personal, but as to relate to going to school where they wanted to go and getting an education and that sort of thing. And that's what was foremost on my mind, that this is why I'm out here. You know, I want to see my kids and my grandchildren have their freedom.
Yes. So you had made that commitment.
I made that commitment. Even unto death, I was ready to die.
Ready to die. Now, that is a commitment.
Yes.
Yes. You said that going to jail was really exciting. There was one event that was more exciting than going to jail, and that was the March on Washington. Why?
Yes.
Why so?
I don't know. I just never, I don't know. I guess I'd never seen such a magnitude of people come together at one time. And just to be in the midst of it was just like you was in the midst of the, when you read in John about the great number, and you think about that number that no man can number, and there I was in that number. That was really exciting for.
What do you remember about that day?
Well, I remember Martin as he spoke. I remember that, and basically I was just out there in the crowd. But I did come across some people from Detroit that we gathered together, and we just mingled in the park, until the big speech, and then we listened to Martin. But the most exciting thing was the people. I can't explain what kind of feeling it gave you to just be among that many people. Right. Other than I hope to be in that number that John.
Yes, right.
That'd be exciting.
Yes. That was in August of 1963. September of 63, you were back home, back in Birmingham.
Yes.
And that was a very dastardly deed done. The bombing of 16th Street Baptist Church. Do you remember that?
Yes.
What do you remember about that day?
I just remember that Sunday morning that they announced at 16th Street Church at Birmingham. And later in the day we did find out that the girls were in there that was killed. It was just a horrible day. I mean, it looked like the world stood still. Everybody was shocked. I guess speechless, because I can't remember any verbal talking. I could just remember it was just a day of like moaning.
On the March in 63, March on Washington, Martin Luther King had talked about the dream and what he saw as being necessary for us to come together as a community. And that day it appeared as if, that was happening. And all of a sudden you have the bombing.
Yes.
How did that impact? How did you sort of correlate the two? Or was there any correlation between the two?
Well, no, I guess I realized that somebody was going to have to shed some blood for us to be free. It has always happened. And I realized that even it could have been me, And so this was just something that had to happen to carry the movement on.
Part of the process.
Part of the process, because this didn't stop it. This just made more people aware of what was going on, or made those people that was not into it come together.
Right.
It sort of brought a more of a unity than a split,
Right. Yeah. What did you do after the 63 demonstrations? Were you still active in the movement?
Yes, I really was. And in fact, Reverend Gardner, they just celebrated here at the church my mother went. I was in another program. But I still occasionally went to the movement.
You still go to the movement meetings?
Occasionally.
Okay. 40 years they
Yes.
celebrated
Yeah.
a couple of Sundays ago.
That's right. And my mother was active too. She was very active in the movement.
Well, she was more active than you?
Yes, my father too.
Okay.
Yeah, they live for Monday night.
Was that one of the reasons that you became involved?
No. So I think I was involved before my father was, but once he went, he never missed a Monday night.
He found what he was looking for.
Yes, he did.
Yes,
That was one of the things that in my whole life that I saw him that was constructive, that he really, really got into. That was the movement.
How successful would you say the movement was?
Well, I think the movement played a big part in opening doors for our kids. Although I'm a little disappointed now as to how things are going, but still, it's not the movement's fault.
Yeah. What are you disappointed about now?
I'm disappointed because we have not taken the opportunities that so many people bled and died and fought for. And our kids today don't seem like they really realize what happened, and they're not taking advantage of it. I had an opportunity to go to UAB for 4 semesters before I had to stop. I still plan to go back. But I noticed our kids and how lightly they took education. And this was one of the things that I was really ready to die for, was that our kids might get education, because education is the only thing that would bring us out of where we were. And be able to go to schools of your choice and get the education of your choice. But so many of them was goofing. And I spent more of my time talking to kids than I did studying and trying to get them to see the importance of their parents spending money trying to get
Why
them.
do you think the children of today does not see the importance, does not put the same values on the movement or the things that the movement did as we do?
Well, I think it's just like the children of Egypt. They forgot God. They took him out of everything. Parents didn't teach morals, and children weren't taught about God and how to live a good life, decent life, and they had a void somewhere. I think it said avoid. I feel that if you don't have I feel that kids have reached their zenith right now. By the time they get 16 years old, they've had everything that materially, but they don't have anything else to fall on. And then things don't mean nothing to them anymore. And they just go doing things for excitement. They don't have anything. They don't know anything else to do. That's my feeling of it.
Do you think that our generation has failed that generation by not really giving proper direction?
Yes, I think we stopped telling them. We didn't tell, like right now, a lot of kids don't even know who Martin Luther King is, you know. And see, this is something that you pass on from generation to generation because, you see, there came a Pharaoh that didn't know Joseph.
Right.
See what I'm saying? And so he could care less, you know, about what went on back there. So you have to pass these things on from generation to generation, let the children know the importance of our history and where we came from.
Well, how do we do that?
Got to sit them down at our feet and teach them.
So you're saying that needs to be done at home?
That needs to be done, and it's not being done. I was... maybe this don't have anything to do with what we're talking about, but I was at my granddaughter's house Sunday, and my mother and my daughter and myself and our whole little family was there, and they pulled out a video and popped it in, and the things that the video was saying, the things that people in the video were saying and doing was really ridiculous. See? And then I thought about how our kids are sitting up looking at this. This is what they're being fed. And that's all they know. Why do you see them cursing and disrespectful in the street? TV. Parents got it in the home.
Parents are passing that on.
That's what they're passing to. Even my little great-grandchild, 2 years old yesterday, was sitting there and his mouth was open. But you see, that's his little years when he's learning. And see, they're being fed all this junk.
Did anyone say anything about it?
I did. I left. Told them I'm not going to sit here and look at this. I'm going home. And I got my car and come to Birmingham.
Was it one of the comedians?
No, I don't know what it was. It was just a lot of filthy talk and a lot of killing and disrespect to women, mothers.
A movie?
Yeah, some kind of old movie. And they love to look at that. But to me, what you feed on, that's what you become. Yes.
How do we rectify that?
Well, only way I see is that we got to come back to God. We've left God, and we've left Him out of our lives. And when you leave God out of your life, then you don't have nothing but catastrophe. And we got to bring our children back and teach them, first of all, the morals. See, because that's the most disappointing thing to me is our kids don't have no manners. They don't have no respect. They walk by you like you're a zombie. They don't speak. They just like, I don't know, they like inhuman to me because I came up in an environment altogether different, and it makes me feel invisible when somebody don't speak to me. And that's one of the things that really perks me when they just walk by and look at you as if you were a thing. And that same child, you're afraid of him because you don't know what he's going to do to you.
So we're afraid of our own children.
And that's because parents have let the children go. Because, see, no 13-year-old kid would rule me. I had one 6 feet. And I was the last word. He wasn't. And I had him to know that if I couldn't handle him, I know somebody who could. And he would never stand up in my face and tell me I couldn't handle him. And even today, he listens to me.
So you're saying that's part of the problem?
Because I tried to sit him down and teach him First of all, to be a decent human being if he couldn't be nothing else. I wanted them to have an education, but my main concern was that you be an earnest, decent human being.
Did the movement teach any of those values that you taught?
Well, the movement enhanced them because most of our generation already was taught those values, see. And the only thing that might have been hard for us was the nonviolent part, but we handled that part. Because after all, we weren't violent, we would fight. You know, all kids fight, but we never dreamed about getting a gun and blowing nobody away, you know. And so it just enhanced it because everything that the movement done was, it was Christian. It was the Christian movement, you see. And so nothing went on in that movement that was contrary to Christianity.
Can where we are today, the Native part, be reversed?
I think it could be. And I think maybe we're on a trend to reverse it. I see the young people now, young adults now, I think they really want some spiritual things now. I think they are coming back to themselves and they are seeing that they really need God in their life. And it seems like it's turning around.
Is there anything that we have not discussed relating to the movement or to Birmingham or to you that you would like to just leave with us today?
Well, the only thing I perhaps would say is that I'm glad that I live to see a movement after reading our history and knowing where our foreparents came from and the things that they had to go through, and then where we came from, how God blessed us to be a prosperous people. I'm glad he let me live to see that. Because when I was young, I couldn't see myself being a slave. And God let me come in at a time that there were no slavery as such, and segregation wasn't no big thing to me. So I'm glad he let me see the coming together of our people, some leaders that stood up and led our people to something that was prosperous.
And you said segregation wasn't a big thing to you, but you had decided to give your life to change that.
Yes, because now, we not say it wasn't a big thing to me because I wanted to go to school. I would have gone to the last, but didn't nobody have no money to send me.
Right.
You know. And that wasn't segregation. That was poor. See, so segregation didn't stop me from being prosperous. It was poor that stopped me from being prosperous, see. And so it never had, and I never looked up to white folks, and I never was afraid of them, and, you know, it didn't bother me. I was a big bad wolf, so it didn't bother me. But I knew that it was there, and I didn't want my children to have to come through what we had already. And, you know, the oppressing part of it.
Yes. Ms. Donna, I want to thank you for taking time out of your schedule to come and sit and talk with us. And maybe we'll do this again sometime.
Yes, I enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Okay.
And there was day, there was night, and there was dark and there was light. There was the earth that was